10 years ago, I started to upload some vlogs about the topic Avoidant Personality Disorder.
I suffer from avoidant personality disorder.
In the following videos, I tried to describe what it's like to suffer from it and talked about repercussions, or side effects as I called them back then, typical situations, my personal attempts to cope with it, and other stuff. I know that I might lost myself in detail sometimes and focus too much on the same topics, but the reaction to those videos had been tremendous. I received hundreds of comments and messages from people all over the world. To my surprise, many of you were able to relate to those things I was talking about or knew them from personal experience. After reading the stories some of you gladly shared in the comments, I figured that having a job or going outside frequently must leave me only with a mild or at least milder form of avoidant personality disorder. This has been quite an insight for me, but hardly as a comfort in the long run. After the release of 11 videos, this little series eventually came to an end. Since some of you wanted to know if I'm still alive or how am I doing, I want to give you guys a little heads up and let you know what happened during the last decade. As you already might figured out by this point, I didn't want to make this video in the way I did the other videos before, but do it visually a little bit more interesting and up to date. The vlogs back then were fine, but I know there are better ways to tell a story. So anyhow, without any more blabbering, enjoy this little anniversary vlog. Well, what happened in the last 10 years? I would say a lot. And I guess the biggest change already took place as I still was doing my vlog series. But let's start right from the beginning, okay? Back in the year 2010, by the time I uploaded my 9th vlog, I met a girl on the internet. To be more precise, a girl left a comment on one of my YouTube drawing videos of Jonathan Davis, and we somehow happened to get in touch and start writing private messages on YouTube. She told me that she's a so-called high-sensitive person, which allows her to process information more deeply and is more aware of subtleties than others, all due to inherent biological differences. It's something completely different than AVPD, but it created a common ground to get the conversation started. Many more messages followed, and we soon figured out that we live in the same country, share the same taste in heavy metal music, and we were living only 120 kilometers away from each other. Isn't that crazy? 6.9 billion people on this earth, and I met a girl living away only 120 kilometers away from me. That's about 75 miles. Anyhow, after writing and chatting for around a month, having many long and deep conversations, we finally decided to meet in person. Although this was a huge step towards the unknown and it took me a lot of courage to agree, our first encounter turned out great. We met in the city she went to school, sitting outside a cafe, just talking. Awkward at first, but it loosened up over the time. She showed me around the city, we had ice cream, and we were sitting in the park. We took it real slow and we were having a great time together. I went back home the same day and wasn't exactly sure what will happen next. We kept texting each other and eventually decided to meet again the next weekend. This time I paid her a visit at home, where I also got to know her parents and her sister. Spending the night and the next day with her, the second encounter turned out even better than the first one. We had a pretty good feeling about that thing that was going on between the two of us, and we decided to give the whole thing a try in the end. You know, like being boyfriend and girlfriend and stuff. Boyfriend and girlfriend. Who would have thought that, right? Anyhow, we continued seeing each other mostly at the weekends. She still went to school by this time. I was still working in my old job as a web developer. We spent our first birthdays together, and visited our first music concerts and festivals as a couple. It all happened pretty quickly, but Theresa, this girl, never rushed me into anything and showed all the compassion and understanding I needed. If something was unclear or felt not right, we took the time to discuss it. Talking and discussing things were the key components to grow in this relationship, especially in the beginning. At first, there was always this fear in my head it will end soon. That it's only a matter of time, Theresa will see all the bad things I saw in myself and will grow tired or uncomfortable of me. I really had this fear a long time, but as we continued being together and the relationship survived the first little fights, I slowly started to get more relaxed. I realized making mistakes or saying something inappropriate isn't the end of the world. Making mistakes may up ending in an awkward or tense situation, but they simply aren't the end. In fact, they are things you can work on and try to do different the next time. One of the things I was most scared of was being introduced to her friends and relatives. I really liked this girl and I didn't want to screw up or let anybody think that I'm weird, which might end up in thinking she is weird for being with a weird guy like me. But none of it happened. Theresa talked me through and always stayed near when meeting new people, which made it a lot easier to get them to know. And as I met them again and again, things calmed down and I was able to kind of relax near them. She always encouraged me in joining her, going to a party or visiting somebody, but always gave me a choice at the same time and wasn't mad if I declined. This was a crucial behavior and exactly the right way to treat me in this time and place. After some time, being outside or in the car with her somehow felt way more secure and fun than doing these things alone. In the year 2013, after Theresa finished school, we already dated for nearly 2.5 years. Things were great and we spent most of our weekends and holidays together. But driving over an hour for so long started to suck pretty hard, so after some time we decided to move in together. Of course, we didn't know if it will work out, in fact none of us did. But in the end we tried it anyway. And it was the right decision. Finally, it wasn't needed anymore to drive countless hours to visit each other and saying goodbye on Sunday evenings. Now we were able to talk in person whenever and how much we wanted without using ICQ or emails. And it was nice coming home from work and have dinner together, having extended breakfast at the weekends, or just goofing around. Of course, life isn't a fairy tale and it definitely took us some time to get familiar with a new situation, especially when there is only one room and a small kitchen. We already went on vacation several times, but sharing an apartment and living close on a daily basis was still very different. For both of us, it was a big change in lifestyle, but I guess with the right amount of thoughtfulness and communication, we got along pretty well over the time. Living close with another person definitely had a big impact on my avoidant personality disorder. There was hardly any boredom or time to get lost in self-pity. Having a bad day at work or experiencing an unpleasant situation didn't go unnoticed anymore for a long time and unlike before, could be discussed and resolved at the same day. The excessive drinking suddenly came almost completely to an end. Overall, my thoughts started to become more positive and my life in general more stable. We both got new hairstyles, I started my first attempt to quit smoking, tried to live healthier and started making sports. 1 year later, about the time we slowly got familiar and living together, Theresa was about to fulfill her dream, flying to Australia and do work and travel. She already talked about this idea as we met, and now, as she finished school and hadn't started anything else yet, it was the right time and place to do it. Well, to be honest, I wasn't all positive about it at first. Being separated for a whole year involved a lot of uncertainties, and I didn't know if our relationship would suffer from it. I also was scared of falling back into old habits when she was away. But I also knew how much she wanted it and that she will benefit from this experience in many ways. And maybe it was also a chance for me to prove that things really changed for me in the last years and aren't just a temporary or artificial success. Truth be told, it never was an option to talk her out of it anyway. I had to let go. By the end of January 2014, I brought her to the airport, knowing it would be a long time seeing her again. She left me with a box filled with exactly 365 tiny little encouraging notes with inside jokes or things she values about me on it. Once again, I realized that I must have met the most special girl in the world who is able to look beyond my twisted self-perception and loves me for who I am. Saying goodbye for the next year had nothing to do with it. At first, she passed some time in Sydney, then worked several months on a dairy farm near Melbourne, bought a car, and eventually traveled whole Australia for the next remaining months. Unlike me, Theresa is the kind of person for whom it's easy to find new friends, so she never really was alone as she spent most of her early days in hostels or did couch surfing. We stayed in touch the whole time, writing WhatsApp messages or emails, which worked out pretty good. To my surprise and against my anticipation, I didn't fall back into old habits, living alone again. I tried to maintain my new healthy lifestyle and started to experiment with new things in my spare time. I somehow happened to get into Buddhism by this time, listening to many audiobooks and countless podcasts about that topic. I slowly learned how to meditate and made several attempts living a more mindful life. In this time, I learned a lot about how my mind works and discovered new ways to better deal with stress and obsessive thinking. It wasn't always working as planned, and unfortunately, I didn't manage to meditate on a daily basis for a long time, but I learned some key lessons I still benefit from. Instead of spending countless hours on the computer, I tended to go out for a walk. Instead of watching movies all the time, I rather listened to podcasts or revived my passion for drawing. I felt this strange curiosity within myself and an urge to learn new things. Something I haven't felt in a long time. Of course, there had been many ups and downs during that time. There had been many days of loneliness and frustration, and I missed my girlfriend very much. But it seemed something essential changed within myself. The self-destruction patterns, which determined my life for so many years, appeared to get less and less, and I was finally able to focus more on the positive things. In August 2014, I flew to Melbourne to pay Theresa a visit at the dairy farm she was working. It felt so good to finally see her again after being separated for 7 months. We spent a couple of days on that farm and then headed to Tasmania and surrounded the whole island the next 7 days. Luckily, her car was big enough to sleep in it, which made the whole journey kind of a road trip. After Tasmania, we travelled back and visited the Uluru together. Australia is such a beautiful country, and we met so many nice and good-hearted people there. We spent my 30th birthday on a bathing place, right in the middle of the outback, with a few cold beers, watching the sun go down. I'm sure most people throw a big party when they turn 30 and celebrate the shit out of it. Me, on the other hand, couldn't have been more happy in this moment. I was with a girl I loved, right in the middle of nowhere, on the other side of the world, with nobody else within a distance of several miles. After 3.5 weeks, I flew back to Germany and we were separated again. But the rest of the year went by pretty quickly, and just before Christmas, she finally came back. Just like in the beginning, it took us some time to get used to each other again, but as time went by and Theresa started to study, life went back to normal again. Back together, we visited a couple of more festivals and music concerts over the years. You may think for a person with avoidant personality disorder, it's impossible to feel comfortable at events like this, especially when you don't have any privacy, living outdoors on a camping ground for many days. To a certain degree, that's right, although sleeping in a tent or the lack of privacy never bothered me. It's more the inability to let go, dancing or go crazy without thinking what the people around me might think about me, which makes the whole experience significantly less enjoyable. I'm fully aware that nobody cares what one single person in a party crowd is doing, and it doesn't matter if I see my favorite bands playing, or the people around me are drunk and aren't able to notice anything anymore. It all doesn't really matter. I'm still not able to let go. Nevertheless, beside all the negative, it's still kind of fun, and it got better a tiny little bit every concert I visited over the time. In the summer 2015, we realized that the apartment we were living in got too small for us and was too far away from the university Theresa started to study. After a bit of searching, we found a new place which was almost twice as big and more quiet than the old one. There was a little work to do though, which was fine and gave us the chance to learn some do-it-yourself skills. I was glad to leave my old apartment behind and all the bad memories from my early days connected with it. It felt like we both grown up, and the new apartment expressed the maturity we gained over the last years, whatever that means. In any case, the new apartment felt like a real home, which we both chose and decorated together. In the past, we often ate instant food or fast food. Now, equipped with a bigger kitchen, we almost completely switched to home-cooked food. There was and still is a lot to experiment and to catch up to. By the time we moved into the new apartment, I quit smoking for good and got even more into sports. For me, this was a clear sign that I finally started to care about myself and my health, instead of wasting it away. Getting into workouts and jogging 3 times a week, I realized that heavy alcohol consume undoubtedly has a tremendous negative effect on my physical endurance, as I try to work out after a night of heavy drinking. Over the last years, I barely didn't drink any alcohol anymore and found other ways to have a good time. 2 years later, I became a vegetarian, which I am still today, and started to be more concerned about what I eat and where the food is coming from. I could be wrong, but I think eating healthy and especially taking care of my body made me feel overall better and strengthen my self-confidence. Another thing which helped me was getting out of my comfort zone every now and then. I've mastered many challenges at work and became more calm at speaking or presenting the more I did it. In private, specifically traveling has been a great way putting myself into unknown situations or situations I can't escape or control. It wasn't always easy or comfortable, but definitely broadened my horizon and shaped me as a character. Speaking of traveling, over the years we traveled many countries, starting with small city trips to Berlin, Hamburg, the Baltic Sea, or the Alps. I even got the chance to visit New York during a business trip. We traveled the Netherlands, Scotland, and the Canary Islands. In the year 2018, we even traveled Southeast Asia. We spent 1 entire month in Nepal, walking the Annapurna circuit. After that, we flew to Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and the Philippines. Our trip through Southeast Asia took us 3 months and for me personally has been the biggest and by far the most exciting trip yet. I saw that this world really has some beautiful places to offer with so much to see and so much to explore. Well, I guess you didn't expect that as you started this video, right? I was pretty surprised myself as I watched it the first time in its entirety. After seeing so many pictures of me smiling, you must think now, wow, that dude really changed, didn't he? Or you might think, I'm not even sure he had avoidant personality disorder after all, being able to do so many things. Well, things definitely changed for the better, that's right. But believe me or not, there are still many things I struggle with, and probably will struggle for the rest of my life. I'm deeply thankful for every one of those moments I just shared with you, but the avoidant personality disorder patterns were always a constant companion, even at the best times I had. It seems like AVPD will always be a big part of my life and became an inherent part of my personality. Smiling, having a girlfriend, or having a job doesn't have anything to do with it. Over the years I started to write down the things I still have big problems with, but also the things I was able to resolve almost completely. Why did I do that? I have no idea. Maybe because I'm a weird guy and love to write lists. I don't know and I don't care. But seriously, here are the things I'm still struggling with. Fitting into a group. It's incredibly hard for me to fit into a group of people and find my place there. If I join a group of new people, I'm completely overwhelmed in the beginning and don't know how to present myself or how to find a common ground with the others. I tend to get very tense and quiet, usually admiring the kind of people in the group which are relaxed and enjoying themselves. If I'm lucky, somebody else takes the first step towards me and starts a conversation with me. If not, or if I'm still haven't found my place in the group after some time, I feel frustrated, inferior, vulnerable, and very hostile against myself. There is an inner wish to show the people who I am and what I'm interested in, but somehow I can't. I can't because I don't see any positive stuff in these moments. I think I'm lame and nobody's interested in what I have to say, or I'm scared, I say something weird. I usually end up in taking my place as the silent guy, most of the time, for good. Focus on other people. It sounds like madness, but my first priority seems to be always what other people think of me or might think of me. So for example, if I leave the house, or even simpler, when I stick my head out of the window, my very first thought is always, are there any neighbors around? Are they watching me what I'm doing? What the hell? Shouldn't be the first thing you sense be something like the sunshine, the fresh warm air, or the chirping of the birds? It seems like I feel I'm being watched, which isn't true. And my neighbors? They don't mean much to me, so this all doesn't make any sense. I think these are just trained patterns which I play back in autopilot without checking if they are still required in the present days. I guess this being watched thing is one of the reasons why I'm so tense, especially outside. Interpretation of gestures and behaviors. To put it simple, I'm still pretty much incapable to put smiles, grim faces or neutral faces into context. Sometimes I thought the person liked me, only to find out he didn't. And sometimes I thought that I screwed up, although the person had a great time with me. So long story short, I'm pretty much incapable of judging realistically what other people think about being with me. Most of the time, I judge way too much negative on both sides. Expected visits at a specific time. Let me give an example for this one. Let's say I'm expecting a food delivery or a parcel delivery, and I know it will arrive at approximately 4 o'clock. So 10 minutes before 4 o'clock, I already get tense and nervous, and 5 minutes before it, I look at the clock all the time and I can't relax at all anymore. So why the hell do I do this? Well, I guess I want to be prepared and I don't want to let the delivery guy waiting. The delivery guy I never met in my life, the delivery guy I probably will never meet again, and I probably don't give a shit about, to be honest. I don't know, it's totally stupid, but I can't help it. It's just the way my brain works. Going out with a group of younger people or equally younger than me. This might come because in my mind, young people are often unpredictable and they sometimes say meanful and hurtful stuff. Older people, on the other hand, tend to be more polite in my opinion. They are well behaved and not such a great danger in terms of getting hurt. Keeping a conversation going. Well, that's especially the case when I meet new people and there aren't many known topics to talk about. If the other person is quiet or shy, the conversation gets awkward pretty fast. I'm definitely lacking the small talk skill here. Meeting with people without much in common. Here we go again. It's very difficult for me to find topics or response to something I never heard before. For me, it's hard to get into topics I have no interest in, and it's even harder to ask questions about these topics. Group introductions. You know, sitting in a circle and everybody says something like, "Hello, I'm Brian, I'm a dentist, in my spare time I love to play tennis." I really don't like that, and my heart starts to bump like crazy when I see there are only 3 more people before it's my turn. And after it was my turn, I usually go through the thing I said a million times to evaluate if I did good. Of course, I don't listen to my successors anymore while doing this, and I didn't listen to my predecessors either, because I was too busy being scared or evaluating. So instead of benefit from the getting each other to know ceremonies and learn something valuable about the people, I get distracted and absorbed by my own thoughts and fears and miss out many things they say. Salary negotiations. Well, it's hard to bring some positive arguments when your self-evaluation is very low. Being the quiet guy at work won't make you stand out either. So overall, I guess selling yourself below market value doesn't promote your career. That also includes you probably never will apply for a supervisor or director position due to the lack of leadership qualities, or at least I never will. Having friends. A thing which hasn't changed in 10 years is the amount of friends I have. I met many great people over the last years, but I never was able to maintain contact with them. Even with people which were very similar to me, I always lost contact after a while. Irritating situations with laughter. For example, when a group of young people in the train stand at the door far away, smiling or laughing and always look in my direction. That's very irritating and uncomfortable for me. It doesn't matter if I know those people or not, and it doesn't matter if they laugh about something completely different, which has nothing to do with me. I feel threatened in those kind of situations anyway. Dealing with dominant people. This is actually a big deal for me and a thing I get confronted a lot. To sum it up, I get annoyed very quickly with dominant people. They are exhausting and are often the starting point of mental chaos. See unresolved things neutrally until they are clarified. Example. One day, our landlords mentioned that they wanted to have dinner with us. Until the day we talked again to set the time and place, I constantly was wondering why they wanted to have dinner with us and expected the worst, like being kicked out of the apartment or something. I wasn't able to stop thinking about it or imagine that the reason for the dinner might be neutral or even positive. In the end, it was very positive, and they just wanted to spend some time with us. Tolerate that some people need longer for things. Maybe it's just a form of impatience, but I have problems to stay calm if somebody needs a very long time for things that take me only a fraction of the time. For example, putting on shoes, the time needed in the bathroom, and stuff like that. Physical closeness with strangers. Unless it's my girlfriend, I literally hate it when other people get close to me. This includes checkout lanes and waiting for the train. Rude, egoistic, superior behavior. Another thing I almost get daily confronted with on the street, in the train, or sometimes at work. Maybe it's the lack of tolerance or equanimity, but I can't ignore or tolerate this kind of behavior. It puts me almost always in a bad mood. Me being late for an appointment. Classical situation where I'm unable to remain calm. Even when I'm late for just 1 minute, I become very stressed, hectic and get tunnel vision. It doesn't matter how important or unimportant the appointment is, simply the idea of being too late makes me very uncomfortable. I usually tend to be at a meeting at least 5 or 10 minutes before. Another funny thing, when I'm in this stressed tunnel vision mode, I stop believing my own experiences. For example, I know how long it takes for me to clean out the dishwasher, which is about 5 minutes. When I start cleaning out the dishwasher 10 minutes before I need to get out of the house, I get hectic. I know there are still 10 more minutes before I need to get out of the house, and it takes me only 5 minutes to clean out that freaking dishwasher. I've done that 1,000 times before, and I know it will only take me 5 minutes. I know that's enough time. In fact, it's even twice as much time as I need. But guess what? I still get hectic and don't believe I clean out that dishwasher in time. Others being late for an appointment. Often these kind of situations are afflicted with inferior complexes. Let's say I have a business meeting and the other attendee comes late 10 minutes. In such a scenario, I spend almost every single of those 10 minutes angry and insecure. I also think this other person doesn't care about me, or even better, I think that the person would be on time if he'd meet with somebody else. Almost like, oh, it's just me. For me, it's not necessary to be on time. I know that this kind of thinking is wrong on so many levels. Being late can have so many reasons and doesn't have to be intentional after all. And I don't know if the other person being late has anything to do with myself, I just don't know that. Being who I am in public, cinema, work, parties. In public I'm still very tense or sometimes feel I have to pretend to be someone I'm not. Only at home and private or drunk I can be who I am. Handle criticism healthy. I guess this one is pure AVBD related. If someone criticizes me, especially in front of a group, that means to me he's attacking me or my abilities. Most of the time I think this very person has something against me and his criticism is part of something even bigger. Participation in social life, online or offline. Saying it like this sounds much harder than it actually is, at least for me. But yes, I don't Twitter, I don't have a Facebook account, and I'm in no community. I know it never has been easier to socialize since we have this great invention called internet, but it's pointless when you don't socialize. Invitation to a party. Yeah, sounds familiar, doesn't it? Simple example. I recently met somebody and I think I left a good first impression on that person. In fact, we got along pretty good. A few weeks later, this person invites me to a party. My reaction? I'm terrified. I'm scared that I will do something stupid on that party or appear lame and this person will then think bad about me. Or to say it in other words, I'm afraid of destroying this first good impression I built and sustained over weeks on one single evening. This leaves me with two options. Take the invitation and risk showing myself from a bad side, or staying at home. If you stick to the bare facts and leave out everything else, staying away from that party seems to be the only safe option. Going to that party includes risks. I know this kind of thinking is completely fucked up, but I can't help it. Well, I don't know if you're still up for more, but I also wrote down the things which were very harmful to me. Idle time. Nothing to do. No big surprise, too much time to think is still very harmful for me. Blocking out, isolate too much. For me, avoiding things lead to an oversensitivity of those things in the long run. For example, if I block out noises very often using headphones all the time, the moment I don't use headphones anymore, the noises are way more intense and annoying than before. So sometimes the solution to block out something is to get used to it. Sounds funny, but sometimes solves the problem. The same goes for isolation, by the way. After returning from a festival with thousands of people, riding a train suddenly feels calm and easy. Going shopping after being at home for a consecutive week without contact to anybody feels very intense on the other hand. Focus on dominant or rude people. Well, we already had that one in one of the previous sections. Focusing on dominant or rude people is dangerous in many ways for me. It really gets me down, I get angry and frustrated, I can't focus on anything else anymore, and I lose my inner balance. Enough reason to not focus on those kind of people and avoid them as good as possible. If you have to be with them, like in the office, constantly remind yourself that you only have to be with this person for a few hours a day. That already helped me a lot. I'm running out of activity thoughts. For me, thinking, oh shit, I'm running out of activities is a clear sign that I'm not balanced at the moment. Too much alcohol. For a person suffering from Avoidant Personality Disorder, alcohol is a tempting little helper to finally shut up your brain for a moment. So while you are drunk, you feel good. What's problematic is the day after, or if you drink way too much, for several reasons. Physical weakness, so the next day you feel hungover and you are physically weak. Regrets, if you drank too much, especially when you are with other people and you can't remember everything from the night before, it probably lead to guilt and bad feelings. Mood instabilities. For me, the next 1 or 2 days after heavy drinking, my mood is pretty unstable and unpredictable. Excessive demand. Let's say I'm doing something really complicated, which is very important, and something goes wrong. And in this very moment, my cell phone rings. In situations like these, I feel completely overwhelmed and almost incapable of doing anything. After so many bad things and problems, let's go real quick about the positive stuff. I promise the list is shorter. Order food in a restaurant. I've done that many times now, it became pretty easy and kind of a routine. Riding a train. The same here, I drove the last 7 years almost daily to my last job by train, so it also became kind of a routine. Being on the phone, business or private. Well, I still hate it and I'm not good at it, but with small preparation, it's doable. Say out loud what I think. I had this situation many times, especially at my last job, but I learned ways to do it over the years. Shopping, visit a bakery, no problem at all. I almost don't care anymore what the cashier thinks of me. Driving a car. I got much calmer over the years, I guess practice helped a lot there. Regulated working days without surprises. Yeah, well, if everything happens as I expected, everything is fine and I even can have a relaxed day then. Routine office meetings, I know what happens. The same goes with meetings, if I'm prepared and when I know what to expect, office meetings are fine. And last but not least, the things which help me to grow and improve. Successes. Things like reaching the weight you always wanted to reach, solving a problem after being stuck for a long time, stuff like that. I figured successes are great for your self-confidence. The bigger the success, the longer it lasts, even the next morning or days. Read a book while waiting. I started to read ebooks while riding the train to work. It has many positive effects like you learn something new, you have something to do, and very important, you aren't so focused on your environment anymore. Meditation. Meditation can help a lot to slow down your thoughts and settle the chaos inside your head. If you include it in your daily routine over a long time, it can become a real anchor and reveal great insights about how your mind ticks. I definitely would recommend anybody to give it a try. Get up early. For me, sleeping too long quickly gives me the idea the whole day is already over. Getting up early, on the other hand, gives me the chance to seize the day. Getting up early also protects oneself from falling into bad sleeping habits, where the days become the nights and the other way around. Healthy and conscious eating. Many reasons. Good for your health, good for your physical appearance. Both lead to a better physical well-being, which has a positive effect on your psychological well-being. Doing sports. Doing sports is good for your figure, and a good figure leads to a rise in self-esteem in the end. Sport is also good to clear your thoughts and may help you in sleeping better. Personal projects. I talk about long-term projects where you can see the progress. Things like starting a photo book or learn a music instrument. Getting overdue things finally done. I'm talking about procrastination. Sometimes the things you constantly postpone aren't so bad after all, and if you finally get them done, you feel relieved. Often you even get motivated to do more things. Ugh, this has been a lot, and it seems that I haven't even talked about half of the things I wanted to talk about. But I guess enough is enough, and it's time to slowly come to an end. To sum it up, many things really changed to the better. I guess you guys saw that yourself. I'm definitely able to function in this world, and it seems that I'm even capable of being in a great relationship for almost 10 years now, all despite of the fact that I'm having avoidant personality disorder. I don't know if it's because I might only have a mild or soft form of AVPD, or it's because of the fact that I luckily got my shit together and worked on my issues. In any case, I strongly believe that having avoidant personality disorder isn't a death sentence, but is something you can work on. The more often you do things, the more you'll find ways to do them your way and to get less scared to do them again and again. Change sometimes also means to break old habits and replace them with healthier alternatives. People like us probably will never be as carefree or social functioning as the average person. The way we think probably will always be different, and the fears we have will probably always be a constant companion, whether we like it or not. And yes, that sucks. But well, that's life. In any case, I hope you guys had a good time watching this little anniversary vlog and took something positive out of it. I wish you all the best for the future. Goodbye.